Hello students, once again I welcome you in my English video. We have already started with the introduction of the chapter Fire, Flame and Food. We'll continue with this for the further part. Fire is both useful and dangerous. What is fire? How did we discover it? How do we control it? So, we'll discuss in brief. We'll discuss or elaborate here regarding fire. Early man didn't know what fire was, but he must have seen the damage it could cause. He must have watched lightning and volcanoes long before he began to use fire himself. Fire was powerful and dangerous, and he was frightened. So, dear students, fire before the invention of fire, what was the situation of regarding this fire? What man was thinking? The man must have seen lightning and volcanoes, but he didn't have clear idea about that, and he feels that fire was powerful and dangerous. Fire may have puzzled early man, but we now know that fire is the result of chemical reaction. Early man could not think what fire is actually, but today we know that fire is nothing but a chemical reaction. When the oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place. So, fire is the combination of oxygen in the air and carbon and hydrogen. Energy in the form of heat and light is released in this process. This is what we call fire. So, what is fire? Fire, when the oxygen in the air combines with carbon and hydrogen in a fuel, a chemical reaction takes place. In this process, in this chemical reaction, energy in the form of heat and light is released, and this is nothing but fire. Three things are needed to make fire. Now you have to understand this properly, that which three things needed to make fire: fuel, oxygen and heat, wood, coal, cooking gas and petrol are some example of fuel. Okay, so three things are needed to make fire, that is fuel, oxygen and heat. So very first, what is the fuel? Wood, coal, cooking gas and petrol are the examples of fuel. Oxygen comes from the air. That is why when you blow on smoldering paper. So what is this smoldering? Smoldering means burning slowly without flame. Okay. So when you blow on smoldering paper, it often bursts into flame. The third thing needed to make fire is heat. So we have already discussed that which are the three things, that is fuel, oxygen and heat. So when you blow on snorting paper, it often bursts into flame. The third thing needed to make fire is heat. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire by themselves, or else a newspaper or stick lying in the open would catch fire on its own. You try to understand. Fuel and oxygen do not make fire themselves. Suppose fuel and oxygen is available. We know that fuel, oxygen, and third thing is heat. When fuel and oxygen comes together and when it comes with the contact of heat, then fire burns. Okay, then fire leak, or else suppose fuel and oxygen would have been sufficient, then any newspaper or stick lying on open would catch fire on its own. To burn a piece of paper or wood, okay, so to burn a piece of paper or wood. Only oxygen and fuel is not sufficient. We heat it before it catches fire. So we have to heat it before it catches fire. We generally do it with a lighted match. Every fuel has a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. This temperature is called the flash point of kindling temperature of the fuel. So, what is the flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel? So try to understand. Every fuel has a particular temperature at which it begins to burn. So this temperature means that particular temperature which requires for the fuel to burn, that particular temperature is called as flash point or kindling temperature of the fuel. It is sometimes said that fire is a good servant but a bad master. So you have to try to understand it. It only means that fire is very useful as long as it is kept under control. So, dear students, we know that fire is very much useful for us, but it is useful till the time it is under your control. If it is not controlled, then it may become a risk. It may become destructive. It may not be creative, or it may not be useful. For instance, we use it to cook our food, warm our homes in winter, and generate electricity. We know that what are the uses of fire. In general, we use fire to cook our food, warm our house in winter, and generate electricity. To generate electricity, also we use fire. But on the other hand, if fire gets out of control, it can be very dangerous. Each year, thousands of homes and shops are damaged by fire. Vast areas of forest are also destroyed, and hundreds of people are killed or injured. Just as three things are needed to start a fire, there are three main ways in which a fire can be put out. If you wish to stop fire, if you wish to extinguish it, if extinguish or put out, in each one of three things needed for burning is taken away. So, what you have learned, dear students, over here, if you wish to burn fire, three things are needed. Which are those three things? Oxygen, fuel, and heat. Same way, if you wish to extinguish means put out means stop, okay, the fire. So you have to take away these things. Suppose one of the thing you will be successful to take away, the fire will stop. For example, we can take away the fuel. If the fire has no fuel to feed on, no burning can take place. We often let a fire die out simply by not adding more fuel to it. So it's very simple to put out fire. Okay. If you will not add more fuel, it could not continue. The second way of putting out a fire is to prevent oxygen from reaching it. No supply of oxygen means no fire. Small fires can be put out or smothered. What is meant by smothered? Smothered means suffocated from lack of air. If there is lack of air is provided, that is smothering condition. Okay, so small fires can be put out or smothered with a damp blanket or sacks. This stops oxygen reaching the burning material. Sometimes carbon dioxide is used to extinguish fire. I have already told you what is meant by extinguish. Extinguish means to put out. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material. So these are the ways by which you can extinguish or put out the fire. The third way of putting out a fire is to remove the heat. If the temperature can be brought down below the flash point, the fuel stops burning. You blow on burning matchstick or candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame, burning down its temperature below the flash point, and candle goes out. Sometimes water is sprayed on a fire. It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature. So, third way of putting out fire is removing the heat. Sometimes water is used so that whatever the intensity of heat that is lowered, it lowers the temperature, and as the heat is removed, fire is automatically extinguished. The blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen and the fire is extinguished. Some fires cannot be put out with water. If water is sprayed onto an oil fire, the oil will float to the top of water and continue to burn. This can be very dangerous because water can flow quickly carrying the burning oil with it and spreading the fire. So you must remember, if the fire is and light, we can say, lit with the help of oil, then we should not throw water should also not be used on fires caused by electrical appliances. the person spraying the person spraying. Okay, so we'll continue. The person spraying water might receive an electric shock and be killed. A carbon dioxide extinguisher is the best thing to fight an electrical fire. So you must have seen that extinguisher. In schools also we use fire extinguisher. So what is the use of fire extinguisher? It throws carbon dioxide and the fire can be extinguished. We spend millions of rupees each year in the fighting fires, and we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fires from happening and getting out of control. On the whole, we have learned rather well to control fire and put it to good use in our everyday life. So, dear students, we have discussed this much part of this lesson. This is part 1 of this lesson. Further part we'll discuss in part 2 of this video. One more part of this video you will get to watch. So, till the time, just give me permission. Thank you very much. We'll meet again in my next video.